After so many years of waiting, the trip of a lifetime for me finally came true, right in my own backyard. 4 days and 3 nights on the wildlife sanctuary of Little Tobago Island. I've tried so many times before to narrate what exactly makes this place special, whether it's the forest, the birds, the wildlife, the diving, the fish, the corals, the ocean, the view. I don't know what it is. Come have a look with me and see if you can see what makes this place special. This is the life! If you're not doing this, you're not living right. On the last one, I would have showed you another beautiful lookout. This place is amazing. Amazing. I would have gotten up close and personal with some seabirds. That's a red-billed tropic bird. Gone for a hike and taking some sights on the island. Orchids all up this tree. So it's a real rough life being a seabird. You know? This man could lost me up in the bush here. Up here I have some big hermit crab. And did some diving. Time for a little diving this morning. Come take a look and let's see what adventures were in store for us on day 3 and day 4. So yeah, up in the deserted island, northeast of Tobago, no water, no electricity, no toilet. And this is how we get water to drink. You gotta clean this thing up, man. Yeah. So the dirty water or the rainwater or the mud water gets collected, poured down filter, down the line. Do we boil this water too or we just hit it? Just like that. Alright. Sweet. Yeah, don't say I wasn't involved in the filtration of the water, right?
But that is like our best solution at the moment.
And there you have it. We converted rainwater collecting up in a nasty open tank into drinkable potable water. Once the filtration system starts to work, we have to keep topping it up. Otherwise, it's a whole scene to prime the system and let it flow again. Final day of bird surveys and what a bummer. Rain, bucket a drop. Me and Darshan went over to the first lookout because, you know, rain is only stop cricket, right? There are protocols in place for conducting bird surveys in rainfall, and we stuck around and got what little data we could. So on the island, they try to recreate a cage, wire mesh cage. Of course, this ain't so old looking. Let me get close. So the remains of what they tried to do was they had a thought that they'd reintroduce the bird of paradise back to Little Tobago. Because this was actually done in like somewhere in the 1920s. The bird that you see on the 5-cent piece. That's the bird of paradise that was brought to Little Tobago like in the 1920s. Time passed, I think a hurricane would have hit in like the 60s. And by the 80s, that was the end of the bird of paradise on Little Tobago. I think too they would have been out-competed. They occupy the same niche that the cornbird occupies, the crested opanolas. So yeah, anyway, somewhere in the 80s, somebody also thought it would have been a good idea to reintroduce them back to Tobago just because of the historical significance and as an ex-situ site of conservation for them. The bird of paradise would have come from Papua New Guinea, somewhere that side of the world. Context. In my last video, I was happy, honky-dory, everything alright. I had lots of great underwater footage, even footage above the water, everything on the GoPro. This time, I went to dive, and check me out. This is the very first video I make after coming back up from the dive. You can't be somebody on the water, and eventually not expect to lose something physical. Today I lost my GoPro 12 with the underwater casing and the snorkel handle. And I was watching the string on the hand and I was like, why didn't put a swivel on this thing? Why is this thing wrapping up? Watch man. Real nice stuff I had on that. Star trails, birding, wildlife, lots of coral, lots of fish underwater. A turtle that swam with us for like nearly 5-10 minutes, doing all kind of zigzag, wigwag. Awesome. I lost, I saw her, but we go again, man. One story. You guys remember Fara, right? I'm gonna lean on her GoPro and her YouTube channel for some of this footage to put this story together. Notice I have a lionfish keep in my left hand. That's a part of the story to come. Immediately as I got down, I landed on this coral head with a whole bunch of lobsters underneath. Took one or two for the guys on top, and the folks on the dive was like, take one more for us, take one more for us. Adding a lot of weight to what I'm already carrying. Oh, you've been looking at Fara's perspective of the playful turtle after it already did a romp with us. And here's the proof that I was capturing some really cool video of awesome turtle. This I will never forget. This is the last time too that any of us would see the GoPro. I give away some of the lobsters I collected. I keep one for the guys in the camp. I mean, for a lost GoPro 12 underwater casing. This gonna taste sweet, Darshan. Alright, so here goes the explanation, right? Imagine there's a scuba tank on the back here, on my back. And this part here is what feeds air pressure from the scuba tank into making my jacket be able to inflate and keep me positively buoyant so that I won't sink all the way to the ground. I knew beforehand that this thing wasn't working. This is how you would inflate it. You would hear air rushing like shh, shh, and the jacket will get inflated. The counter to that is that you just touch this button here and okay, getting seriously inflated here now. Deflate. You hear the noise, it goes down. So I knew that that's how I could have been diving. The problem was, got the GoPro lanyard attached to the hand, and I was being very selfish, taking lots of cool videos and pictures with that. That was the most interactive turtle I have seen from Australia straight back to here, Trinidad and Tobago. That thing was just all around us, all around us. Anyway, current changed on us, things started to get harder. And Fara was in the back carrying the lionfish keep with a good couple lobster. Let's say three by, how much was that? Maybe only 4 lobster, but as 4 trees, that's 12 pounds extra. And I was like, you know what, she's got a GoPro. Let me swim across, take the load from her. Suppose a dog bowl. But she's got the lobster, she's also got a GoPro. Let me give her a chance to go record some footage of the lobster, of the turtle. And I went over, made the offer, grabbed the lionfish keep with the extra, was it 4x3, the extra 12 pounds, and immediately as I held on to it, it's like pretend this thing was filled with lead. It started pulling me down in the water. So this would have been in my mouth. Alright, and took a deep breath in. When I was sinking, while sinking, you gotta do this quickly because nice live coral all the way around. You don't ever want to touch a live coral. One deep breath, spit this out. And whilst I'm early inflating the BCD, as can sometimes happen, this thing let out a jet of bubbles all over the place. And the lanyard on my hand, this falling down, my focus is on this because I got the lobsters in this hand. And I want to believe that the stream of bubbles caused the lanyard to spin around and snap, because I was examining the lanyard. It didn't look the greatest, but I want to believe it could have snapped and either shot up to the surface, the GoPro in the casing, or sank to the bottom. And it did not take me long. Like, the moment I put a breath in here and I could have just quickly fine-tuned my buoyancy again. I hit the regulator, tap, tap. Even if the lanyard didn't break off my wrist, it could have escaped like this. There's a drill that you do when you spit your regulator. You know, it's dangling behind you. Like, it could end up all by your backside. How you gonna find that? The drill that they teach you is lean back slightly, Watch my hand. Put your hand by the back of your leg and go up all the way around. And I've actually caught it. It comes here, but look what's happening. By me doing that, my hand is pointing up into the sky, and in the little stream of bubbles, well, not little, in the confusing stream of bubbles, doing a natural automatic response like this, my hand pointing up to the surface, and if the GoPro lanyard didn't break, it could have just whoop, gone out over my hands as well. So we did dive deep and we did dive long. We did a deep long dive before, and I wasn't paying too much attention to, you know, my tables, my nitrogen levels, and if I was, I might have been able to shoot straight up to the surface, as you are allowed to do in an emergency if you're doing scuba diving the way you should be. And I was like, nope, not gonna risk getting the bends today. So I stayed. I signaled to everybody else down below, like, have you seen my GoPro? Where is it? I looked up and I looked down, and I passed back the lobster. I'm like, I'm going up because I lost my camera. And I went going up, and I had to stay 3 minutes at about 15 to 20 feet under. That's your safety stop to let your nitrogen dissolve out of your blood safely. And geez, that was painful. That was real painful. Like, all I'm doing is like watching everywhere, hoping to get a little glint of the GoPro, but it was gone. I was like, it's besides the dives, besides that particular dive and all the previous dives, there's a lot of cool stuff on the GoPro from the camping and the birding and the exploring of the island. But it is what it is, and now you might know a little bit of things. It is a true thing. Yeah, I could see why I won, but I know I was still very sour, trying to shake it off. I knew that this was my last day on the island, could possibly be the last time I'm ever getting to witness this. I know the morning got washed out from rainfall, so I say, you know what, let me go and check out the near lookout. I'm sure those guys are there too. And I went, and I just took in the birds cruising, riding the airwaves, and I just mellowed myself before going back down and setting up the lobster for dinner. And oh yeah, this lobster pasta, lash, like a warm hug from the inside. That was about it for the night. Man, tired, we reached the end of it. We had to conserve energy because everything we brought up had to go back down the hill in the morning. A serious storm was coming in.
Lovely weather, guys. Lovely weather.
Yo, that's gonna be a seat alone.
Correct. Yeah.
As a boat captain myself, this wasn't looking too good. And exactly what Zach said there, loading the boat, going to the scene, I don't even remember how we pulled that off, and nobody had time to take a video of that. We had one more thing left to do, and that was to go further up into St. Giles Island and do a count on the magnificent frigate birds. That's one last thing we had to do. And Shivam, being the expert on the frigate birds here, Shivam was like, in weather like this, they'll be flying, so the count will be easy. So we turned to Smitty. Smitty, can you make it? Smitty started smiling. He said, so what's wrong with this water? I ain't gonna lie, that water out there was different. We headed off. We was gonna do the count while them fellas do the count. Me and Zach thought we was gonna jump in the water. Zach now learned to dive deep. He was gonna dig out a fish or two with my spear gun. Life was that we are playing different games with here. Watch this. You heard correct. Smitty heckling me because as a diver I wasn't prepared. The man asking me where my gun, where my fin, where my snorkel. Nothing.
All of that is frigate birds.
Not gonna lie, this was something to see. Like several hundreds or maybe a few thousand frigate birds right over St. Giles. Amazing. Man, I was so excited to get down in this water. The first time I jumped in, I didn't have my weight belt. Smitty laughed at me again. And that's not the last of the laughter, because when I asked him to throw my spear gun in and I'm trying to load it, it's been so long since I went shooting fish, right? I'm trying to load it and then I realized something wrong, something missing. Where is the spear gun rubber, you know? So yeah boy, pressure, real pressure. Epic trip of a lifetime. Nice place to be hunting some fish. And you go leave home your spear gun rubbers, Imran? Where else you go leave home, boy? And that's how the trip went, from a spear fishing trip to a snorkeling trip. And now started getting to a free diving rhythm, and them fellas was just about finished with the bird count. So you know what? We gotta catch that ferry down in Scarborough for 4 o'clock. And let's get out of here. But not before trying some fishing. And that's when a deep self-realization hit me. Listen to knowledge.
This is the life. If you're not doing this, you're not living right. Are you even living life?
As we reach the jetty on Speyside, we bounce up 2 trainee friends who come across to learn to dive. And they're learning to dive with Alex. So on the jetty, it have them with Alex, and it have boatman Howard, who was doing the dives with me, and then it has Smitty in the water right there. And everybody know each other. And this is why life in Trinidad and Tobago is so nice. You could almost always go somewhere and run into people you know. Howard asked for one more favor before we leave. He needed some help to pull up the boat. That's what the van is there for. 4x4 is not for style. We deal with that. We head up Scarborough, look for our best Tobago lunch. If you know, you know. And then board the ferry, and it's time to go home. Back to reality. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the 3-part series of my trip of a lifetime to Little Tobago in December of 2024. I do hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed being out there and recording it. And I'm so upset that I lost the GoPro, but you can't cry over spilled milk. It took me a year and I figured out a way to still make it work. I really do hope you enjoyed. Drop a like, subscribe, share. Stay tuned to see what other adventures come your way.